Good evening, my name is Jemima. Let's have a look at today's headlines.
Dear invited guest, the Northern SME Expo team is aware of the current restrictions imposed on the country by Honorable President Hage Geingob as from the 12th of August 2020. However, we have developed a system that we can use while adhering to the new regulations. Our team will provide you with a ticket that contains details of the media launch as well as a timestamp at which your presence is required. As per new regulations, only 10 individuals will be present in the media hall as per timestamp indicated on the ticket. Thank you for understanding and for your cooperation. We are excited to see you on Friday. For any queries, please contact Nangula Nashandi on 081 4769 304.
This event is proudly brought to you by Chico Group of Companies.
Good evening, my name is Jemima Beekes, your host for this evening's Evening Review show. We have in studio today Mr. Charles Eiseb. Mr. Charles Eiseb is one of the representatives on the Namibian negotiation team for the reparations for the 1904-1908 reparations. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Eiseb.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me here.
Mr. Eiseb, can you please give us a background on who this technical committee is?
Yeah, good. As I said, as you said, I'm Charles Eiseb, originally from Falkras, seconded by Falkras Traditional Authority, which is in the southern part of the country, in the proximity of Chess area. Each traditional authority seconded a number of technical persons to the Chiefs Forum that is supporting the negotiations that is ongoing. There are two technical committees. There is one for the affected communities, which the committee is actually responsible for supporting, advising the chiefs with regard to the negotiations. And there are 5 of us who have been seconded to the government technical committee. And we are representing various communities from South. 2 of us are from South. There's someone from Maheke, there's someone from Ojoton Juba and Kunene region. So basically that's the representation that we have. We are 5, it's diverse, and that's how it is. And apart from that, we are also on the negotiation table with Special Envoy Dr. Z. Kavirwe. So that's what it is.
Now, Mr. Eiseb, can you tell us what is the status of the official government negotiations between Namibia and Germany?
Yeah, currently the negotiations is ongoing. We had 8 rounds already, and we are preparing for the 9th round. We discussed in the declaration the mandate that has been given by the resolution or the motion, parliamentary motion that was given, and those are number 1, genocide, the recognition thereof. Apology to be extended, and then reparations. So we are busy with the documentation that is to be tabled for the reparations. So currently that's more or less the status as it was alluded by Dr. Z. Kaviru earlier this week.
Now, the committee in particular has come under much criticism from other members of the Nama and Ovaherero communities who feel that they've been cut out of this negotiation process. They feel that this process is not transparent at all. What do you make of these claims?
Yeah, number one, I should say that the fact that 5 of us are sitting there from the affected communities or affected communities, it's a representation. And as I said, it's a diverse representation. It's not secluded to a certain group or certain region. It's more or less 5 to 6 regions that are represented there. Actually 5 regions because we are 5. And I don't know where this comes from. At the beginning of the negotiations, after the resolution was passed and when Comrade Dr. Hage Geingob, the president, appointed a special envoy, there was an open invitation that chiefs or traditional authorities should come on board so that it is according to the resolutions of the motion, should be part and parcel of the negotiation process. Hence, some of the chiefs responded and some of the traditional authorities responded. There are those who chose to go the other way, but which I'll not talk about anyway. So basically, we are fully represented. I am one of them who are sitting on the table.
When you say
every part of it, we are there.
Okay.
The preparation of documentation, everything, we are representing the communities.
When you say there are those that went another way, what do you mean with that?
No, I wouldn't talk about that. But the traditional chiefs or traditional authorities have chosen, a number of them have chosen to join the negotiations. You know it. You are in the media. You know it that there are those traditional authorities who chose not to be part of it. That's what I'm referring to. Okay. But I wouldn't talk about them. I'm here purely for our cause.
Okay. Now, this week, when the president announced that they have rejected the offer from Germany, in that statement, they also said that Namibia and Germany has agreed on a political agreement. What does that mean?
No, not agree per se. But it was, the negotiations are being dealt with on moral and political grounds. That's basically, there are 2 or 3 grounds that one can look at. It's the political, moral, as well as legal. And we didn't go the legal way. So that's why the president or the envoy was talking about political path, which encompasses basically the issue of moral issues, you know, the moral responsibility that Germany is displaying towards this thing. So basically that's what it means.
Now then there's also talks of an alleged offer of 10 million euros. What can you tell us about that?
No, I don't know where 10 million euro comes from. But, you know, in negotiations, there are always, you know, if you sell a car, for example, you will put up a price and then, you know, you negotiate and come to a conclusion. And probably these are the figures that are going around. But there is no conclusive or there is no concluded amount that has been decided on. So there is nothing like offer because the negotiations are still not yet concluded. So there cannot be an offer without negotiations being concluded. And it's on 3 pillars. Genocide GAR, we commonly call it GAR, G-A-R, which means genocide, apology and reparations. So once these 3 pillars are concluded, only then we can talk about the figures and things.
Now, Mr. Eiseb, you are saying that perhaps this is one of the figures that were flying around. Now, as an affected member of the descendants, what do you make of a 10 million euros as reparation? Some people feel it's an insult. What do you make?
Yeah, definitely. Who will go for a 10 million euros if you have lost lives, if you have lost land, if you have lost your dignity for that matter? I mean, your people have been put in concentration camps. You know, there are a number of things that happened, degraded the integrity of those societies. Who will go for 10 million?
Now, then this
so obviously, yes, it's an insult. Sorry, that I'm just concluding.
Okay. So then there's the issue of proposed projects that will soon be implemented as part of the negotiation process.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know. Some of the communities say they've not been involved in this process. How far did the committee go in involving the communities?
Yeah, no, what we did is we had a needs analysis outreach program. That was last year, if I'm not wrong. We had a needs analysis outreach program where we traveled in all the 7 regions that are designated for the purpose. And we collected information from the communities, the needs of the communities. And based on that, we have formulated and we are formulating the document that Dr. Z. Gaviru was referring to, that we had 2 weeks back in Uchurango, a workshop for that.
So what is the biggest issue that affected communities highlighted?
The first one was land. Acquisition or land reform. That was the first most prominent one. And then other issues of education, housing, the social amenities that will uplift the standard of living of the societies that have lost land, lost their properties and so on.
So obviously these projects are, development projects are one of the issues that Germany is willing to finance. How are they willing to deal with the land issue?
Yeah, we are still in negotiation stage, and I cannot talk too much about how they will be dealing with it. But the demand is from the communities that the land acquisition should be one of the primary objectives, and it was #1 issue. Wherever we went, they will raise it as the #1 issue: land, land, and land. Everybody talks about it anyway.
So how serious is how committed is Germany to land restitution?
No, in fact, as I said, we are negotiating currently. And I cannot say they are refusing or they are giving in, but it's one of the items that need to be part and parcel of the negotiated settlement, so to say. So I cannot divulge too much about what they are saying or what they are not saying, but it's one of the issues that we are negotiating on.
Now, speaking about restitution, there's also the issue of reparations, which Germany is not willing to accept. So the committee is tasked to go and debate this further. So are there other terms that you have come up with to address this issue?
Yeah, Germany has an interpretation of the term reparations. Apparently, it means in their language, if it is translated, it means someone who is convicted of, and as I said, it's a political and moral grounds on which we are negotiating. And they have that reservation. But it's not final, and we have not yet decided that I will do away with it, because that's the motion from the parliament. But they have raised their concern regarding that. And we are playing, or not playing around, terms are being coined, and reconstruction and reconciliation and all those terms are coming up. So basically, it's not yet concluded, but they have raised their concern pertaining to the word reparations. But it's part and parcel of the negotiations, because it's the 3 pillars.
Now, this issue around reparation is not the first time it's come up. In fact, it has been highlighted by Germany at the very start of the negotiation process. So what is the Namibian government willing to do? Are you prepared to concede, or are you going to push ahead and demand for that reparations remain? Yeah,
I cannot say at this stage that we'll push for it or will concede to it. But the fact of the matter is we are negotiating around these terms. That's one. There was one chief who was saying in one of the consultations that we had with late Dr. Iambo, the former vice president, because we regularly have consultations with the chiefs being invited by the vice president to have these consultations. And he was saying, you people, you academics are talking too much about terms. Terms are not what is going to develop us. We want to see this thing realizing. So basically, I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that we are compromising, but people are also asking too many questions pertaining to terms that we are. If reconstruction means the same thing.
But does it mean the same thing, reconstruction?
No, I'm not saying if, I'm saying if. But if the impact at the end of the day has the same results, why not? So terms are there, but we are still negotiating. So I cannot authoritatively say, yes, we have considered, or no, we are still resisting it. But it's being negotiated.
Okay. Now, there's also the issue of affected communities being scattered across the diaspora. So how is the Namibian government negotiations addressing that issue?
Yeah, we are in consultation with affected communities in diaspora, as you said, and we are looking at possible ways of also let them benefit out of this. It will be premature to talk about the engagements that are currently ongoing with Botswana and so on. I also do not have that authority to say that. But there are, negotiations or engagements, let me say engagements going around. And we are not forgetting about their needs and so on. So it is part and parcel of what we are discussing.
So now I would like to know if you are looking at proposed projects, for example, development projects in Namibia for affected communities, how will the communities in the diaspora, how will they benefit from these developments?
That is the challenging part, because it's a foreign jurisdiction. And how do you go and, for example, put up a desalination plant in a foreign jurisdiction, for example? So that's why I'm saying we are in engagement with those communities. But there can be different ways of benefiting them, for example, scholarships and so on. I'm not saying that will be the case, but these are the engagements that we are looking around. But it's the fact that it's a foreign jurisdiction, South Africa, where they are predominantly, Botswana, and there are talks that a number of them are also in Togo and those countries where Germany had its colonial power. But it's premature to talk about it. But we are aware about it. There are engagements that we are, there were 2 or 3 times that the colleagues from Botswana came, a delegation came, even had a meeting with the previous vice president as well as the current one. So there are these substantive engagements that I can allude to.
Now lastly, you have the committee in particular and government as well have repeatedly been labeled as puppets by some of the people that are standing outside the official negotiation process, and you've been accused of dancing only to the tunes of the Namibian government and only wanting to satisfy the German government. What do you make of these claims?
Okay, individually and jointly, we do not have any interest to protect or to promote the interests of the Germans. We are there to promote or to see to it that the interests of our communities are protected and promoted. So we are vehemently and seriously engaged in that to see to it that those things are implemented in the designated 7 regions. I wouldn't say that we are puppets, but we are stakeholders. So most probably that's the interpretation that is being given to stakeholders, but we are not puppets. If puppet means that you are dancing to the tune of the government or to German government, then it's not the case. We are there to represent the interests of our communities.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Eiseb. It was quite a pleasure.
Thanks for inviting me once more, and let's have these discussions regularly.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.